Hello everyone, this is a video of English Marathon, week 3, November week 3, and today we are going to discuss what's on the agenda for 8th and 9th graders. Okay, there are there are many things we will have to discuss today. Let's move on and see what we've got. As you know, this is our general plan, and I have cropped some units for 8th and 9th grades only until the end of this month. As you can see, we are close to KBO1, which is going to happen next week. And this week, we are going to have our daily quiz, and that daily quiz will resemble a lot to previous year KBO questions. They are not going to be easy, therefore please prepare and do your revisions and make sure you have covered all given topics. Okay. It's Saturday, 28th November. Time will probably be 10 o'clock as usual, or 11. We'll let you know by time. You know that this marathon has been going on since September, and it is going to go on till April. Now, if you have any questions concerning some topics, please feel free to write it down in the comment section. But before anyone asks anything, I'm going to explain modal verbs, as I could see many mistakes in your November Camp Day 3, and you know, it might be nice to revise a little bit. So, modal verbs. Before we go to modal verbs, I'd like you to remember what are main verbs and what are auxiliary verbs. Main verbs – главные глаголы, auxiliary verbs – вспомогательные глаголы, көмекші. Main verbs have lexical meaning, they do translate, they do conjugate. Auxiliary verbs, they conjugate, but they do not carry any lexical meaning to a sentence. Когда мы переводим в целом предложение, мы переводим только главный глагол, и вспомогательные глаголы не имеют лексического значения. Они не переводятся, они никак не произносят, не переводятся. So, let's see. And place. In this sentence, we have a subject, obviously, and a main verb. We have only one verb, therefore it is main, right? Another sentence, and played. We can see that play is a main verb and that it can have tenses. In the first sentence, it is written in present simple tense. In second, it's past simple tense. As you can see, main verbs can have tenses. Those are future, present, and past. Next line, and is a student. In this case, we have only one verb, therefore it is main. Is, to be. It is in its present form, and was here, same. To be here plays as a main verb, and it is in its past form. Let's look at the next line. And is playing. In such sentence, you can see that we have a complex predicate, and we have two verbs here, is, playing. And among these two, we will have to decide for ourselves which one is main, which one is auxiliary, вспомогательный. If we translate it, we can see that play is being translated. Therefore, play is a main verb. That's one way of determining which one is main. Usually, main verb goes last and auxiliary verbs go before the main verb. Anyway, playing is a main verb here, and is to be goes as an auxiliary verb. Same thing in the next sentence. Anne didn't play. Again, play, main verb, did not, as in did, is an auxiliary verb. Вспомогательный глагол. This auxiliary verb shows us that the sentence is in its past tense form, past simple tense. Next sentence, Anne has been playing. Again, playing is a main verb here, and has been, we have two auxiliary verbs in one sentence, and it's quite possible. So, as you can see, one sentence usually has one main verb and many, as many as possible, auxiliary verbs. And modal verb is actually a type of auxiliary verb too. As you can see, Anne will play. This sentence comes in first future simple tense, and will shows us that Anne has an intention to play in the future, and will here is a modal verb by itself. Anne can play. Again, we have modal verb can and main verb play. Anne must play. Play, main verb, must is a modal verb. Therefore, hence, it is an auxiliary verb. Оно, модальные глаголы, одновременно являются вспомогательными глаголами. Basically, that's why I started with auxiliary verb topic in general. As you can see, Anne will play can also, in the meaning, can be substituted with a sentence like Anne is going to play. And can play can be substituted by Anne is able to play and Anne has to play. In such sentences, we can see that sometimes modal verbs can be replaced by other verbs to render similar meaning, but structure will have to be totally different. As you can see, we will have to use preposition to before the main verb here, which we don't do with modal verbs. So, what do we understand here? We know that there are main verbs, there are auxiliary verbs, and modal verbs are part of auxiliary verbs. Now, unlike all other auxiliary verbs, modal verbs can be a little bit different in structure. They are, made a bit differently. So modal verbs do not conjugate. I can sing, she can sing. As you can see, we don't add s in the end of can, even if she is a third person singular. So whatever the person you have, I, you, we, they, he, she, it, modal verb does not change according to the person. Secondly, modal verbs don't use preposition help. No preposition to. We have this mistaken thought that it's okay saying can to sing. No preposition to, no preposition whatsoever in when you have to deal with modal verbs. The sentence like Anne is able to sing, if you use a modal verb, should be like Anne can sing. So there's no to in the area. Thirdly, a modal verb has only two sentences. Has only two tenses. Okay, I'm getting tired here. Unlike all other main verbs, have present tense, past tense, future tense. We have three tenses, and those tenses have their own variations, like progressive, perfect. But when we talk about modal verbs, they can be divided into two types: present and past. There's no future. Let's see closer to this. Here's a list of modal verbs in present and in past tense. Present tense modal verbs are shown in the middle column. As you can see, I have listed all modal verbs from the strong ones to the weak ones. Or we can do it vice versa. We're going to discuss them from the bottom upwards. And on the left column, left to you, right to me column, you have modal verbs in the past. As you can see, they can be done differently. They don't have a single rule how to make it into the past tense. So let's see. We are going to discuss from the bottom, as I said. We have will. Will, for your information, is a modal verb. And this modal verb is usually used in future simple tense. Why is it used in future simple tense? Because this modal verb is good with showing person's intentions. So if you are intending, if you're going to do something in the future, and it's not a plan, as long as it's not a plan, you can use will. Therefore, future simple tense uses will, but will actually is a modal verb. Shall is its synonym, but shall goes into category of, older English and more British English. Shall is used only with first person singular, I or we, first person plural. It is not usually used with you, like you shall, he shall, third person. It's only used with first person, basically. And it is used to show your intention, your, say, in questions like, shall I open the window? I shall help you. You are showing your intentions that way. But it is used it's used very rarely. Mainly you can see them in question forms only, as in shall I or shall we. That's it. C. This shall, will, mainly will, in past tense can be transformed into will, have, verb 3. In our case, played. And whoever this girl is going to be popular today. So if we say Anne will have played, we mean that she had an intention to do something. So she will play it, but by some specific time, it will stay in the past. In a way. Will is one of the weakest modal verbs. Then we have would. Would can be seen as past tense of will, but it is also a separate modal verb by itself. Would shows wishes. So would play shows that the possibility or the situation she could play has already passed, but she still wishes to play. Past tense would be would, have, verb 3. Oops, sorry. Next one is need. As you can see, need is one of modal verbs. Most of you are familiar with usual main verb need. So need can be modal verb and usual main verb. It shows necessity or requirement. Its past tense is need, have, played. May and might show the probability, very little. They have little difference between themselves, but usually they are interchangeable. And if you want to use them in the past tense, it's may, might, have, verb 3. can show two things. It can show whether abilities or the possibility of something to happen. So can in present tense has its past form as could, but we should not confuse these two different coulds, because we have another could that is in present tense and which shows offer or criticism, very tricky one. So we have two different coulds, and I would like you to study more into those two coulds, and you should understand that these are totally different modal verbs. Actual could in present tense has its past form could have verb 3 and could have played tennis or basketball. Should is a variation of shall in the past. Should is by itself a modal verb, and it is used when you want to suggest things, suggest doing things. And the most, forceful modal verb is must. As you know, we use must to show obligation, something that has to be done or has to be not done. In this case, must in its past form, must as an obligation does not have a past form of its own. Therefore, it has to use its synonym among usual verbs, which is had to. So if Anne must play basketball today, in the past you say Anne had to play basketball yesterday. There's another must, and they have very different meanings. Probably you already know the difference according to the context. Second must shows certainty. Whenever you are sure that something is the way you're saying, you're thinking, you use must before the main verb. Like, you must be tired, or it must be Wednesday. So I am sure it is Wednesday can be said, it must be Wednesday, in other words. And another certainty, but negative certainty, is used when you use can't. So must and can't here are total antonyms to each other. Both of them show certainty, but certainty positively and negatively, they play side by side. So if you are sure that it is not Wednesday today, you can say, it can't be Wednesday. It means, I'm sure it is not Wednesday. See? If you are sure it's Wednesday, what do you say? You say, it must be Wednesday. I'm sure it is Wednesday. Therefore, must and can't here are total antonyms to each other, and they somehow, they're combined in a total one big certainty issue. And they have given past forms. I'm sure most of you have already studied should very deeply with your teachers, and you must have watched lots of videos about modal verbs and how you use them. There are very detailed differences, say, between must and should, must and have to, and differences between can and could, may and might, differences between need, didn't need to and needn't have done. All those detailed differences are discussed several times in our sub-study books. So I'm not going to bore you with them. This is just a overall view to modal verbs, and I hope it is helpful in a way. The question, one of your questions was if I could show the topics of KBO. Well, I kind of did show you the topics of KBO. you just have to go through those books and see what topics are given in certain units. So if you want to learn about topics of KBO, you just have to go through book by book, open up the content page, and see, say, if first certificate language practice is November 4th is unit 16, it means all topics up to 16th unit will be included to KBO topics. All topics up to 8th unit in first certificate use of English are included, and so on, you know. I guess I have no other questions. Fine. I'm going to go through your... Okay. All right. It's okay that you, not all of you are watching it at this very moment of streaming, although it would be nice to have, you know, many viewers watching me at the same time. I would feel very popular. Anyway, you can watch this video anytime later and ask questions later in the group. So see you on Saturday. This Saturday, I'm sending you previous KBO questions. And next Saturday, we are having our actual KBO. So good luck. See you then.